So week 4 has come and gone. We are officially a quarter of the way through everybody's schedule in the National Football League. Well, I guess unless you're the Steelers and Titans, then not so much. You didn't play in week 4. So anyways, with that said, you're starting to get a better feel for what's real, what's not, what's fluke, what is fantasy, what is fiction, what is nonfiction, all of that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look back at the week that was week 4 of this 2020 NFL season. It all started on Thursday night. It doesn't matter how depleted the Broncos are, because the Jets are depleted because they have Greg Williams, that nincompoop turd, as their defensive coordinator, and the ultimate nincompoop turds, the king of crap mountain, if you will, Adam Gase. The Jets are going to Jets. Gase is going to Gase. Greg Williams' defenses are going to play dirty football. Broncos did enough to beat the Jets on Thursday night, 37-28, and yet somehow Adam Gase is still employed. You transition over to the Sunday's games. Joe Mixon had a big day for the Bengals. They're not the Bengals, apparently. 181 yards combined, 3 total touchdowns. Joe Burrow threw for 300 yards and a touch. Bengals get their first win of the year over the Jags, 33-25. Good stuff, Joe. Got to get tough. Go, Joe! OBJ had 154 total yards and 3 touchdowns, which is impressive. It's nice to see these Odell Beckham sightings again. It's like, oh my God, he's actually a superstar. It's nice to see a superstar play like a superstar. But then you also have to remember that this Dallas Cowboys defense absolutely blows chunks. Browns moved to 3-1, handle the Cowboys, even though it got interesting late, 49-38. Let me repeat that, 49-38. Did they pass a new law in Texas that says no? Not only are masks not required and is mask wearing discouraged, but you don't have to stop anybody. What the hell's going on here? And then the Lions, of course, are going to Lions. They jumped out to an early 14-point lead in the first quarter against the Saints in a little over 5 minutes. You're thinking, oh, wow, this is Detroit. No, what you saw the next 3.5 quarters was Detroit, because the lead evaporated. The Saints put up 35 unanswered points, and they ended up holding off the Lions 35-29. And that is more of the Lions team that you know and you're familiar and comfortable with. Fitzmagic had another rough day for the Dolphins. How much longer are you going to keep going down this path, Brian Flores? I don't get it. Seahawks handled the Dolphins easily enough. Another MVP-like-ish day for Russell Wilson, even if it was a little below his standard so far this year. Seahawks beat the Dolphins 31-23. TB12 had a big day, going for 369 yards and 5 touchdowns. Buccaneers come back from an early deficit to overcome Justin Herbert and the Chargers 38-31. Ravens defense did well. Their offense did just enough. Redskins not good, just like that whole division is not good. Ravens win comfortably over Washington 31-17. Teddy, how about that? Teddy H2O, 308 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Leads the Panthers to a 31-21 win over the Cardinals. And all of a sudden, there are the Panthers at 2-2, starting to creep up. Are they for real? Are they a potential playoff team? Interesting. The Vikings skill players have a big day. Dalvin Cook goes over 130 yards rushing, I believe 2 touchdowns. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, the rookie out of LSU, both go over 100 yards receiving. Goodbye, Bob. You suck. Texans 0-4. Vikings win 31-23. The Rams defense sacked Daniel Jones 5 times. It wasn't pretty, but they did enough. Held off the Giants to win 17-9. Foles pulls the Trubisky. Imagine my complete and utter lack of surprise. Bears actually faced a good defense, and you saw the results. He scored a garbage touchdown late, but it doesn't matter. Even though Phillip Rivers is washed, the Colts are still superior to the Bears in every facet. Colts win in Soldier Field 19-11. Another week, another big week for Josh Allen. 3 total touchdowns from him. Helps the Bills hold off the Raiders. Bills now undefeated 4-0 and looking serious 30-23. Nick Mullins had a bad day on Sunday night. Helped the Eagles upset the 49ers. They were 7-point underdogs, and they end up going in and winning, beating the 49ers 25-20. Brian Hoyer was the destroyer, but unfortunately he was the destroyer of the Patriots' chances on Monday night. He submarined them with just really crappy play. Chiefs did enough offensively. They win easily, 26-10. Just leaves you with the feeling of disappointment in your mouth because you wanted to see Cam versus Mahomes and see how this game would have went if Cam would have been in there. Cam's been one of the good early season stories so far. Sucks that he got COVID, and hopefully he'll get through it relatively quickly and be back on the field where he belongs. The other Monday night game feels weird. It's not just week one that we had 2 Monday night games. Might not be the only time we have this happen this year either. Aaron Rodgers, another day at the office for him. Certainly you talk about MVP stuff. It's him and Russell Wilson right now are 2 of the contenders, along with maybe a Josh Allen. Packers are now 4-0. Rodgers threw for 327 yards, 4 touchdowns. They easily beat the Falcons 30-16. When you look at some of the winners and losers from week number 4, in terms of the winners, I look at the Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't a pretty game to watch Sunday night, but damn it, they got it done. Beat the 49ers. And yeah, they're sitting there at 1-2-1, but guess what? They're leading the NFC least. That's got to be a win, right? Sometimes you don't have to be the best of the best. You just got to be best than the others. Or better than the others, whatever the hell. The Carolina Panthers. That win over Arizona, a team a lot of us maybe thought were a playoff team and may still be, and I certainly thought they were a playoff team heading into this season and still kind of believe in them as a playoff team this year. Now, all of a sudden, the Carolina Panthers beat them the way that they did, and you're looking at this Carolina team, and now they're 2-2, and you're saying, oh, okay, could have something a little going on under first-year head coach Matt Rule. But nonetheless, they are at least in position a quarter of the way through the season. And then the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know what Joe Burrow's true upside is, and I think some of his physical limitations could potentially restrain him from being an elite-level quarterback, because in order for him to reach that highest threshold of NFL quarterbacks, he will have to be absolutely perfect in every other facet and capacity of his game. That is not to say that he cannot be. It is just asking a lot for a young quarterback to do that. But if you are a Bengals fan, you at least should feel reason for hope. A quarter of the way through the season, you're now 1-2-1. You won your first game of the year on Sunday, and Burrow doesn't look like a bust. That's got to count for something. So if you're the Bengals and you're thinking about the future trajectory of the organization, that first win, Burrow's looked decent so far, you got to feel good about things. And then we get to the losers. And how about that Cowboys defense? How about them Cowboys? Another week and they just got their shit packed. They got it pushed in. NFL stands for not for long for defensive coordinator Mike Nolan if they continue to put up these putrid, pathetic performances defensively week in and week out. Like Dak Prescott is going to have a 6,000 damn yard passing season out of necessity because that defense can't stop anybody. The Cowboys are really lucky they play in a garbage division, so at 1-3 they are in the mix. But you bring in a guy like Mike McCarthy with legitimate playoff credentials and a Super Bowl championship as an NFL head coach, you don't expect to see this a quarter of the way through the season. I'll let you know that as bad as Jason Garrett was, and he was bad, you'd probably be the same 1-3 with Jason Garrett, so pipe down. The reality is the problems are much deeper with this organization. I go straight to the owner's booth. The Chicago Bears. They were a fluky 3-0. I knew it. A lot of you deep down knew it. Some of you tried to deny it. They made the switch in week 3. They weren't going to go with Trubisky anymore. They're officially making the statement, Trubisky's not their guy anymore as an organization. Okay, cool. Then once you make that move, you better hope to God that Foles pans out. Well, his first opportunity to start, have a full week of practice where he's the unquestioned starter, and he went out and laid an egg. Now, certainly, the rest of the team went out there and laid an egg against the Colts because they finally actually faced a halfway decent team. Like, you look at the Bears' first 3 weeks of the season. You're facing off against the Lions, the Giants, and the freaking Falcons. Those are 3 teams that are going to be probably banging it out for top 5 picks in the upcoming NFL draft. Beating those teams, yeah, a win's a win, and your record says what you are, but you're now 3-1 because you actually faced a good team. Good luck on Thursday against TB12. And then the Houston Texans. Minnesota was supposed to be the break in the schedule after starting off, having to face the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Steelers. You felt like they were going to start 0-3, but maybe once they did that, they would overcome it. And Minnesota was the chance to get right, and they didn't get right. And they ultimately lost this game to the freaking Vikings. And it led to the end of the Bill O'Brien era of the Houston Texans. And some of you might say, well, isn't that a good thing? They did it way too damn late. Way too much damage has been done. So they lost the game. They're now rolling with old-ass Romeo Crennel as their head coach the rest of the year. The hell's going on there? And no, it doesn't make them a winner for getting rid of Bill O'Brien. That's stupid. They left the abusive relationship about 2 to 3 years too late. You don't give them much credit for that. Game ball for the week. Quarterback, I look at Tom Brady, 369 yards passing, 5 touchdowns against the Bucks, beat the Chargers 38-31. Joe Mixon for the Bengals, instrumental in the Bengals getting their first win in the column this year, 181 yards and 3 total touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr., aforementioned OBJ, 154 yards of total offense, 5 catches, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushes for 73 yards and another touchdown. Big day for him in a marquee spot. But again, it was against that turd Ferguson Cowboys defense. And in terms of defensive units, I'll look at the Packers. Not a lot of great defense being played, admittedly, in week number 4. But you look at the Packers, they got 4 sacks on Matt Ryan. And the work that secondary did on Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley to combine to hold them to 4 catches for 32 yards and to completely shut out Calvin Ridley, that is fantastic work. That's the type of stuff that you look at it and you say, whereas last year's Packers team felt a lot like smoke and mirrors. This year, maybe they aren't. This year, they've got an angry, motivated Aaron Rodgers, and dangers ahead for anybody that plays this team. And now we get to the end of the festivities, and let's talk about the 2-minute drill. And here's what I'm trying to understand. Bill O'Brien should have already been fired. So, was it justified to fire him after the 0-4 start, even with the rough first 3 weeks of the year against 3 really good teams? Yes, that was justified. You can always make that argument to fire Bill O'Brien. But what I can't understand is how in the hell do Adam Gase and Dan Quinn still have jobs? You look at Dan Quinn. You were just on Monday Night Football, and you looked bad, and your defense was gross. Your defense has been gross all year. You can only make the injury excuse for so long. It is clearly coaching. Players are out of position. They're undisciplined. The scheme is just horrendous. The play calling is treacherously terrible. And yet, he somehow still has a job. After the multiple choke jobs in week 2 and 3 against the Cowboys and the Bears, respectively, where you could argue this team should be 2-2, they are 0-4, and that is a direct result of coaching. And yet, somehow, someway, this guy still proceeds to persist as an NFL head coach for reasons that are unbeknownst to me. But at least there is some history of some level of success, where there is absolutely none of that for Adam Gase and the Jets. I understand it's not ideal to fire a guy after 1 year, but he sucks. The quicker you own up to your mistake, the better off for all parties involved. All you're doing is letting Adam Gase burn that organization to the ground from within and taking Sam Darnold and his future along with him. How in the hell do you go into that game against the Broncos in week 4, deplete a Broncos team, and you lose? You're now 0-4. Your young quarterback shows you flashes but looks like a deer in the Trubisky's. He looks shattered. And Adam Gase is still your head coach. Unless you're telling me that, hey, we're keeping them deep down because we want to tank and get to that number 1 overall pick. Adam Gase will be just bad enough to win 3 or 4 games late when it didn't matter and screw your opportunity to do that. Furthermore, what the hell good does it do to tank for a quarterback at number 1, whether that's Trevor or somebody else? When you look at the rot of the infrastructure that is this Jets organization, it makes no damn sense. One way to cleanse some of that is to get rid of Adam Gase and do it now. How the hell is Bob fired and these other 2 clowns still have jobs? I have no idea.